How did you know it was time to retire?
So at the beginning of 2024, I knew my contract as a performer was coming to an end, and I knew I sort of said to myself at the beginning of the year, I was like, all right, you've been doing this for a while. Your body feels and you're not wrestling that often. So let's try and make this a good year and see how we feel at the end of the year. And so I said to myself that, I'm gonna try to make this a good year for me. So I started working with Cesar Bononi to try and get in good shape. And I just said, let's see how we feel at the end of this year. Like, I'm going to wrestle this year like it's my last, and see how I feel. And but one of the things I sort of kept in mind was, like, I only wanted to wrestle if Tony wanted me to wrestle, Tony Khan. I didn't want to go to him and be like, hey, please, can I wrestle? Because I felt like if Tony needed me for the show, or if Tony wanted me for the show, then he would think of something for me to do on the show. But I didn't want to be that guy that was like, hey, I'm not doing anything this week. Can I do something this week? And have him possibly feel obligated to give me something and then jam it into a show that's already, we've got a very wide roster, and we've got 2 hours of time on a Wednesday, 2 hours of time on a Saturday. And I didn't want to conceivably take time away from something that was important just to scratch my wrestling itch. I wanted to sort of be cognizant of, like, hey, this isn't good for the show if he doesn't want it. If you're just getting on to get on, that's not fair. And especially as someone who, I felt like as someone who was sort of like in the office, it felt wrong to try and take time away from stuff that Tony really wanted. So I didn't ask Tony. I never went to Tony and was like, hey, can I do this? Hey, can I do this? I just wanted him to organically go, hey, I need you to wrestle this person tonight, or I need you to put this guy over tonight, whatever. If he wanted me, I would do it. So one of the last things we did, or one of the last times he asked me to wrestle, was the tag match with me and Matt against the Young Bucks. And, and going into that, I knew, the finish should be on me. And after that, I said, well, wait, what would happen if, or not after that, but like right before that, I said, what would happen if they pinned me and then they fired me? And in my head, I thought the natural progression was, okay, they would fire me. They're misusing their EVP powers. Tony would hire me back and I would wrestle them again, whatever. But then once it happened, I thought, oh, wait, what if they made me an EVP to sort of like offset if I was like the babyface version of what Matt and Nick were doing as EVPs. And so we pitched that. And I think once I sort of got that position, I think Tony didn't want me to wrestle and be an EVP. And in my head, the EVPs wrestled all the time. So I was like, oh, I'll wrestle every once in a while. But I don't think Tony had that same mentality. So like it then turned into me only being an EVP. And like from May to almost the end of the year, like, he didn't ask me to wrestle again. The last match I had before the end of the year, I actually volunteered for, the one with Jack Perry on Collision, because it was a Jack Perry versus TBD, and I was like, hey, what if that was me? And he was like, oh, that'd be great. That's better than an enhancement match, whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. But then like I felt like he didn't really he didn't really need me to wrestle as often. So right around that period of time, I would be pitching different ideas to different guys, but not to Tony directly. It was like, I remember going to John Morrison once and I was like, hey, what if you and I were like a tag team, like an LA tag team? What if we were called like the LA Riots? And he was like, oh, and then he started to get more involved with MXM. And I was like, okay, well, that's, that's a good thing for him. I don't need to be weighing him down. And I went to Hangman one time. And this was in the middle of the time where he was getting booed out of the building. Like he was in the midst of the thing with Swerve. He was just starting this thing with Jay White. And I was like, hey man, what if you ended my career? What if you that would be like great heat for a heel to be like, if you crippled me so bad I couldn't wrestle anymore. That would be cool. And didn't think anything of it after that. I just, well, that would be cool, right? That'd be a good way to go out. And then like near the end of the year, he was like, "Hey, I went to Tony and I think we're going to do this thing with you and me." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So, I mean, if it wasn't for Hangman asking for that, I don't think it would happen. It might have just, I might have ended my career with that match with Jack and just said, "Oh, I'm done," you know?